Bonjour tout le monde. Hello everybody. We're just checking if everything is okay with the micro and cameras, and if whether the speakers can have the control of their presentations. I guess Steffen is already connected. Can you just attest if you?
Yep. Is my
Okay,
voice
great.
working?
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Then welcome everybody again, and so I am Ahmed Amine, project manager of Mobena project, an initiative from VEDECOM Institute, and I am delighted to welcome you to today's webinar on a crucial topic, which is cybersecurity in the electric mobility ecosystem. So this webinar is, let's say, a part of our ongoing effort to strengthen our visibility and credibility, build and engage a community around shared challenges about cybersecurity, highlight Mobena's innovative services, and attract new potential partners. So you are welcome to join also this Mobena initiative to work to collaborate with us. We are like 15 partners within this Mobena initiative, and we are open to new partners if they want to join the EV ecosystem. Just before we start, I have some let's say few guidelines to help you to get the most out of this this session. So your microphones and cameras are disabled during the main session to ensure, let's say, a smooth delivery, but the chat is open. So feel free to drop your comments or questions at any time you want. We will take them into consideration at the end of the webinar, where we will have like 13 minutes of question and answers. Our team will collect all the questions, and at the end, we will try to give you the answer as possible. The webinar is recorded, so we will share a replay and all the necessary resources by the end of this webinar by email in the coming days. And one last point, if you experience any like technical issues, let us know in the chat, and we'll do our best to assist. So again, today we will try to explore why and how to effectively secure the electric vehicle ecosystem. We'll try to examine the key challenges and current regulations, how to conduct risk analysis specific to the EV ecosystem. This is something that we are working on a lot on Mobena, trying to focus on each component and each asset of the EV ecosystem to ensure secure interactions and infrastructure throughout all the life cycle of all the components. So to guide us, we're joined by a panel of esteemed experts. So we have Jean-Marc Rives from Gireve, KLINGER from ETAS, Yassir DAHMANE from VEDECOM, Steffen Rhinow from Hubject, and Gilles Chèné from Thales. By the way, I would like to thank all the speakers for their valuable participation and their presentations in advance. So to start, we will speak about a kind of introduction to cybersecurity challenges. Let's set the scene, why it is important to talk about cybersecurity in the electric charging ecosystem. And to answer this, so I am pleased to hand over to Jean-Marc Rives from Gireve, who will outline, let's say, the key threats and critical challenges facing networks, vehicles, infrastructure, charging stations, and also users. So please, Jean-Marc, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I take the control just to. So the first part of this webinar is about, as Amine said, to put the scope of this, clarify the scope of this webinar and what is about cybersecurity and e-mobility systems. So cybersecurity is because we will talk about cybersecurity during this webinar, so maybe we can clarify this word. And so cybersecurity is a practice for protecting systems, data, networks, and so on from digital attacks. So this is a clear definition about protecting things. Protecting, it means that we must tackle incident attacks, events before they actually happen. So the cybersecurity topic is related to risk and not about facts or incident, not only and not mainly, but about risk. So this is the reason why we will talk about risk for this world presentation, world webinar discussion, because this is the core element of cybersecurity. And so the starting point of cybersecurity is defining a risk analysis. And so those cyber attacks are usually aimed to access, change, destroy sensitive information, or extorting money, or interrupting normal business. So attacks are targeting high-value items. So it means that the first element of risk analysis is to define the key asset that we have to protect. And this is by this way we will start this discussion about cybersecurity. So the EV ecosystem is very large, going for sure from the EV charging domain itself, but also you go to the grid domain, so electricity grids, and also from the electricity grid to the EV charging, and then to the end users. So the scope is quite wide, and the key assets that we have to protect in these scopes are numerous. So maybe we can start by the end user. So the end user, we want to protect the end user, and typically in the payment domain, because we want to be sure that the EV user will pay the charging session he really made, and with a fair and just amount. So behind that, we have to secure the identification of the user, and also the reliability of the metering. So those two topics are key, because if they are corrupted, we could face some difficulties in terms of payment for chargings. For sure, behind the end user, we also have some assets about personal data to protect them. This is something that everybody knows, that to protect personal data for, as we said, ideas of passion, but also for securing the payment and the access to the EV itself. So the electric vehicle is also an asset to protect in terms of to protect the energy stored inside the car, but also to protect all the data that are stored in the EV itself. For sure, because the charging infrastructure is also a key asset, we need to protect them, typically to secure its reliability, and we will see that the charging infrastructure is a very sensitive entry point in the ecosystem, and the charging infrastructure is also a big source of key data, typically about metering, authorization, and so on. So the charging infrastructure itself is a key asset we must to protect. We must also to protect the e-mobility players, actors. I'm talking about CPOs, EMSP, and so on. To protect them means to protect the business and technical exchange, so data and service exchange, and so this is based on protocols. So this is the topic of protocols for roaming, for plug and charge exchange, and so on. So we also have to protect anything that is related to the B2B financial exchange between those actors. So to be sure that the payment and bidding and also are very secure and reliable. There is also the topic, the asset of reliability of their services and activities. And behind that, there is the question of the brand image of all those actors. So this is also something we have to protect. And that, at last but not least, there is also the question of the grid, the electrical grid itself, because we know that the electrical grid is one of the essential services for anybody in any countries. And so there is a high level of protection due to this this fact of being essential. So there is some regulation about that, and this is a key asset. We know that charging station, because they are connected to the grid, could be an entry point for attack and to create some disruption on the grid itself. So there is this is something which is very important, and we will see some topics about that in terms of regulation. The next point is about the next point is about attack vectors. So the entry point for those what could be attacks. So for sure we have to protect all those systems from attack on the end user level, but also on each actors. I mean EMSP, CPO, the roaming feature in between the EV itself and the EVSE, and also on grid level. So you can see in this slide, so the key asset, and we see that this is the vault, the red small vault on the picture. And we see, as we said previously, that the key asset are values, and we have key asset to be protected on each level for related to each actor. But we also have so these attack vectors, and you see that there is one big vector, one big entry point, I would say. This entry point is the EVSE itself, the charging station and the charging infrastructure itself. This is a very sensitive entry point due to the fact that there is a big numbers of charging station, due to the fact that the charging station are on in a public area, very physically accessible, and so because also this entry point is a location where we collect data about metering and other authorization and so on. So this is a clear and sensitive entry point. And so this is the reason why we will talk about that in the next minutes of this webinar. As a summary, we were talking about asset to be protected and also entry points and attack vectors. But we can also list the key security terms on which we have to pay attention to. So the first level is the authentication. So to be sure that the systems or the player is always the one it says it is. So I'm talking about people, but I'm also talking about systems and subsystems. So the authentication is a very common and important topic of security, to be sure that a system is dealing with the right ones and with exactly the system you think it is. And so improving the cybersecurity mean at least improving the authentication of subsystem, of actors, of people. So, and we will see in each level that this is a key thing and how to manage that. The second point is about data authenticity. There are a lot of data exchange between actors, and we need to to be sure that the data has not been corrupted, is the right one and comes from a secure source, and also to be sure that the data is not manipulated. So the data authenticity is a key point. We will see that in certificates, but also this is typically a point for the metering, for example, to be sure that the metering data has not been corrupted or transformed during the transportation. Because we are talking about data exchange and transportation, so we must pay attention to data encryption to secure and to protect and to manage also the confidentiality of data. So for sure we are talking about encryption during exchanges, but we also have to pay attention to encryption at rest. So I mean inside on a storage level inside the subsystem. The last point I wanted to highlight today is about the system intrusion. So we have to pay attention for sure to intrusion into system. So we usually in cybersecurity talk about the logical access to systems. I mean password, security certificate for authentication and so on. But because the charging infrastructure is also a physical and material asset on public area, we also have to think about the physical intrusion into the systems. For sure, the physical intrusion into data centers is something well known and quite usually well protected. But I repeat, because the charging stations are located everywhere in public area, we also have to pay attention to the physical access to charging station, to secure the charging station themselves and to prevent any intrusion into those assets. And because we say that the charging station is a very sensitive entry point for attacks, we must also pay attention to this intrusion capacity in terms of logical access, but also physical access. We cover the scope of cybersecurity by defining what is cybersecurity, what is a risk analysis, and the entry point, and some key element to secure this ecosystem. My colleagues will go from the big and wide scope of the e-mobility ecosystem and to at the end to the smallest part inside the charging station. So I will give let the floor to my colleagues, and first to Michael. We will cover the whole ecosystem regulation about cybersecurity, and so this is the big area, and then we go a bit smaller with Steffen about some elements about the security in the EV charging ecosystem itself, and then Yassir will present some elements about what could be the risk on the charging station level itself, and at the end we will also have Gilles, and Gilles will talk to us about inside the charging station, about the secure element inside the charging station. So my colleagues will go from the largest scope to the smallest. And by this way, we will cover, I think, some very key and interesting topics about cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Marc, for this valuable insights, and also for giving us all the scope that we will be treating during this webinar. So as you said, the second topic will be we have a lot of challenges, as you said, in the EV ecosystem. So in response to these challenges, European and international regulations are, let's say, being implemented to protect data and assets, but also users. So to better understand this regulatory framework, let's welcome Mikhail KLINGER from ETAS. So I let you present this part, Mikhail.
Thanks, Amine. So hello, everybody. Michael KLINGER from ETAS. I'm responsible for cybersecurity topic for Europe. So as we know, the regulation framework in Europe is quite easy. So just to have a provide here, I divided 3 domains regarding manufacturing security, the product itself, independently if it will be embedded product, charging station, or IT product, and of course, all the backend services and enterprise IT security. And why do we have so many regulations regarding cybersecurity? There is, are aware about all the geopolitical issue, and we are now talking about a new field of attacks of it's the cyber one. So it's mandatory to take into account security the sooner as possible to remain competitive. So in these 3 domains, we will have the GDPR, the NIS2. So as a reminder, the first version of the NIS1, published in 2017, was dedicated to all critical national infrastructure. Nowadays, with the NIS2 directive, we are addressing also all the essential services providers. And as Jean-Marc said, electrical stakeholders are part of these essential services and sometimes also critical. So GDPR, as you know, it's for the data regulation, personal information, and we can have it on the product and in the production line, so in the manufacturing. We can handle it on the product itself, and of course in the backend. NIS2, depending the context, could be impacted here also. Now, if we only focus on the product, we have several ones. We have the Cyber Resilience Act. I will talk about it just in 2 minutes. We have the RED directive, and we have the UNICER 155 and the Euro 7. These 2 are more for the OEMs regarding vehicle car manufacturers. And of course, we have other ones as the DSP2 for the payment, and other one. But here dedicated more for the product part. And for this one, I will focus on the RED Cyber Resilience Act because at charging point station, it's very important to take it into account. So as a reminder, the Cyber Resilience Act, it's a cybersecurity requirement for all the product with some digital element. And to be very exhaustive, if your product is not covered by one of the excluded regulation that you have, those UNICER 155 for the vehicle itself, the regulation covering all the medical devices, regulation for civil aviation, marine equipment, national security, military, etc. These 2, as mentioned, but only already covered by other regulation, more for the cloud. So you are part of the Cyber Resilience Act. So that means that, of course, charging station and all the software that you will be able to implement in an app to manage the charging management system, for example, have to be covered by the CRA. What it means? So as a reminder, the definition are product with digital element. Nowadays, more or less everything, every product with a little intelligence are part of that. And every product with remote data processing. So do you want to provide a service? You are under the Cyber Resilience Act regulation. And what it means? So that means that you have to perform several activities as cyber risk analysis to identify what could be the potential vulnerabilities and impact on the product. You have to define what we are talking about defense in depth or security by design to prove to the authority if there is an issue that you have done your homework. You will have also to provide security updates. And here it's a big challenge nowadays. Maybe you are aware that the new US government decided to stop the support to the CVE database, so the Common Vulnerability and Event database. It's 1 week or 2 weeks ago. And it will be a very big challenge for all the vulnerability management services on how to handle the vulnerability management at product level without this kind of updated CVE. I recommend you to stay in touch with your regulator or some other company to understand what will happen. Because here nobody knows today what happened without the support of the US government on this vulnerability part. Once you have discovered that there is an incident on your product, you will have some very, very short timeline to alert, to notify the competent authorities. So could be the ENISA, your local, in France will be the ANSI, in Germany, BSI, etc., etc. So all your national security agencies that there is an incident on your product. And you will have, of course, to maintain this documentation. Just as I said, the timeline, it's very short. As soon as you are aware about an event, you have 24 hours to notify the ENISA that this event has been used. So we are talking about an incident at your level. And if you are not able to do that, you can have penalties up to 15 million or 2.5% of your total TNS. So that means that at charging station level, you have a direct obligation to ensure the product security. And here it's the decision tree. I will not go there. I'll let you do it. If you have some intelligence in your product, if you are dealing with data, selling this product in Europe, you will have to cover the Cyber Resilience Act. So I will let now the floor to Steffen. Of course, here it's only focusing on the Cyber Resilience Act. There are several, as we saw before, several other regulations. But the main concern is this one. And also, as mentioned by Jean-Marc, it's not only taking into account cybersecurity at software level, but how to ensure that an attacker will not access all the confidential or critical information in the hardware itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for this presentation. We've got some questions, but we will try to answer them by the end, as we said at the beginning. So these are very important regulations that every actor should respect, depending on the content, on the intelligence, as you said. So if Jean-Marc give us like the big picture, you speak about regulation. Let's now focus on the interactions between components, especially communication protocols. which are very important for cybersecurity, interoperability, and security, like OPNC, OCPI, or OCPP. So we'll try to give us a global perspective on secure data exchange in this connected environment and this complex ecosystem. So please welcome Steffen Rhinow from Hubject. It's your turn.
Thanks, Amine. Yeah, so as already mentioned, Jean-Marc already gave the big picture, and the regulation is now getting, I would say, better and better worldwide, but still not covering everything. And if you want to take a look on the existing overview, and I try to make it as a picture like visible that it's still understandable, but I still don't cover everything, to be honest, because it's a really complex ecosystem with a lot of entities which are part of a single charging session, right? So can you jump one further? I mean, yeah, thank you. So you see, like here, multiple actors, of course, not visible for the end customer, but we need to take care of all of these entities. And if you have one charging session, in most cases, a lot of these entities are part of it. Unfortunately, all of these protocols or connections between these entities are maybe secure on its own, but if we want to talk about end-to-end, they are not really synchronized. Now, piece by piece, elements are getting considered between protocols like OCPP and ISO 15118. Originally, there were just two protocols. OCPP was for the management between this charging station and CPO, and ISO 15118 was used for the car charging station communication. So, but they were not really synchronized. In the newer OCPP version, it's more native to use ISO messages or to do plug-and-charge and other use cases, but they are not synchronized in its own. And it's written here like we have multiple entities, but the attacker just needs to find one weak spot to access here, to change data, or to manipulate the charging station. And this is on backend level, but also on physical level. As you see here, we have less physical devices. We have the vehicle and the charging station, of course, most visible in the system. We have maybe also the smart meter gateway and the controllers, which are in the charging station and in the household. But the rest are more backend systems. And here we have an OEM, for example, using proprietary protocols with the vehicles, where we don't have really like an insight. Like every OEM will play their own game here. They will have their own protocols with their own strengths, and mostly and hopefully they are all secured in their own way. We have plug-and-charge systems where the protocol is now in a good definition phase, that we have a joint unified view on it, also on security level. Then on roaming, we have OCPI on peer-to-peer level, which has a certain way of security, but it's also in an improvement stage, I would say, in OCPP 3.0, I assume. And then there are roaming protocols, which are also dealing security in a different way, each of it. And then on the bottom part, I'm trying to add kind of here the energy part where OSCP, not OCP, OSCP, open ADR, and so on are part. And they are not, as mentioned, they're not really synchronized, but they do their job. If you go one slide further, we see the, depending on the use case, some of these protocols are involved. That means you cannot just say, hey, my entity OCP is now fine, it's secure, now we have a secure charging session. No, you actually need to say, okay, I want to do an authorization of a charging session. Which protocols are involved? And we have here OCPI, we have OHCP or ISO 15118, and so on. Is this still applicable, or is the whole charging session over all of the protocols consistently end-to-end secured? And this is the task we have to do now, piece by piece, to make sure that end-to-end charging is really in a secure thing. By the way, this is from the source from ELAT, which they created a couple of years ago, and I just added here the plug-and-charge use case. Maybe there's even a newer picture of it. Last but not least, on the last slide, I'm just adding here what kind of possibilities and what kind of things are getting used. On a hardware and firmware level, of course, certificates or signatures are getting used, TPMs, HSMs, firmware protections are getting used, and secure elements and tamper detection. But it's, at least for the vehicle and charging, not yet hard defined what to use. So everyone can decide on their own currently what they want to do, and need to decide what is the level of security they want to establish, but it's not defined. On the protocol, where at least where I'm coming from the Hubject side, is all these different backends, protocols, and here some protocols are using TLS or mutual TLS, some are using OAuth 1 or OAuth 2, fab sockets, for charging stations. SIM cards are, I would say, mostly common, but here maybe also one comment on OCPP. There are different layers possible, right? OCPP has from basic authentication to mutual TLS, and so that means our market is currently fragmented. We have some stations less and some stations more secured, which needs to be more aligned. Same kind of for the backend and cloud security, token-based or certificate-based. And one layer above, I would say we need to take also a look on PKI security, because if we take certificates for plug-and-charge, for example, or for OCPP, for the smart meter gateway and so on, we need to make sure that the PKI management, the governance is defined, and the certificate lifecycle entrusted. Yeah. So in summary, we have a lot of protocols, and they are not synchronized, and we need to work on synchronizing and harmonizing an end-to-end security to achieve like a native end-to-end security setup. I also tried to list the working groups I knew, which are working on securing our EV charging infrastructure or EV charging experience. So you see, like, there's quite a lot involved. I think some of the participants are part of them, but it's also a hard challenge. It's not that easy as like we need to synchronize everything, but we're on the way, also with the regulation. So I hope you could see the kind of the bigger view on what kind of entities are here involved for one charging session. And now we would go one level deeper, and would see how the risk analysis for a charging station would look like, because this would need to be done for all of these entities I just saw.
Okay, thank you, Steffen. Thank you very much. So as you said, let's right now present, let's say, a concrete approach to risk analysis applied to mainly charging stations. This is something that we do a lot in Mobena. This is like, let's say, one working group who is dedicated to work only on risk analysis approaches. So I will invite Yassir Dahmane from VEDECOM to present this course.
Thank you, Amine. Thank you, Steffen, for the great insights about end-to-end security. So now let's take a closer look to the cyber risk analysis on EV charging station. So where we have the main vulnerability. So for the risk analysis, so the first question is why we are doing the risk analysis, why we should manage a risk. So the first point already highlighted by Michael is about compliance with regulations, but also to build trust of our customers and partners, and for R&D part, so to adapt the R&D and to adjust our R&D process, and to avoid having unnecessary expenses on cybersecurity item. And Also for compliance with other international standard, so like ISO 27001. So, but it's still the most important part is the regulation. So, as the Cyber Resilience Act and then NIS 2 and RGPD. So. In our risk analysis, we used EBIOS RM as a methodology. So it's focused on the risk management and what is really about managing risk. And the other part is about the compliance. So it's a participative approach and the managerial approach. So it have the possibility to understand each responsibility of the EV charging ecosystem, and to understand exactly how we will manage the risk and exactly have the great expense on our hardware and the software to increase our security. So for the next step, so we have identified several feared events. So it starts from the protecting the charging process. So it's the most important part of the charging station, and preventing the unauthorized charging and access to charging station. So this part is very important, and we started by associating the severity, so a scale of severity for each type of feared event that could happen on the charging stations cyber attacks. So, and also other type of event, so like the event targeting the plug-and-charge authentication. So by passing the local authentication and the theft of certificates stored in the charging station. All this is a part of our cyber security risk analysis. So we also focusing on V2G communication. So because the charging station is interacting and communicating with the EV, not only but also other parts of the system. So like the metering and the local grid. So a big part of sensitive data also stored on the EV. So and we have identified some feared events, so like session data theft and also unauthorized firmware update. So from all this event, we started by making the association between the event and also the potential risk origin. So we identified 5 attacker profile. So it starts from cyber criminals. So they are very structured group, so with advanced technical expertise on cybersecurity, having a sophisticated attacks that can impact highly the business in terms of financial impact and using sophisticated tool. So the second attacker profile, so the organized crime. So with the having an important resources a long-term exploitation of assets and the coordinated attacks. So all this attacker profiles are identified with several parameters. So let's say parameters, so like motivation, resources, and activity, with scale from 1 to 4. So the third attacker profile is the malicious internal actor. So we can consider this individual that have legitimate access to systems and infrastructure. So like charging stations, charging systems, engineers that could have a privilege to access to data and hardware. Also activists, so they are motivated group by ideological and political objectives that have technical skills and they want to have a visible actions on their ideological and political objectives. So the last profiles is a malicious user. So generally, they are seeking to exploit system for personal gain. So generally, financial gain to take the opportunity to have free sessions or having a financial gain from the charging process. So all these 5 attacker profile are compared here depending on 3 parameters, so motivation, resources, and activity. And still, the cyber criminals are the most impacting attacker profile on the EV charging ecosystem. So let's now match the 2 previous parts. So with the making the association between the attacks method and the risk origins and the business assets. So this table provides an example of threats identified in our risk analysis of EV charging infrastructure. So it highlights a range of attack methods, so such as the certificate compromise and the charging station service disruption. So this type of attacks are targeting the cybersecurity principles, so like availability, integrity, and authenticity. And this example helps to frame the variety of actors that we discussed before. So it starts from specialized criminals to internal staff, and also underscore the importance of multi-layer security of the charging station. So the overall analysis reveals both digital and physical vulnerabilities that require coordinated defense strategies from the EV charging ecosystem. So, and the cyber risk analysis focus also on the ecosystem around the charging station, not only the system, but also the subcontractor, partners, supplier, and the customers, because the attacker can operate through different stakeholders. So generally, the attackers look to the easiest route, and the danger could also be involved from stakeholders due to several parameters, so like exposure and dependencies that we have with this partners, and also the penetration, so the access to resources, so hardware and software, cyber reliability, so maturity on cyber security capacities, and the trust with this EV charging ecosystem. So in our study, we identified several actors in the EV charging ecosystem. And we made a categorization of this actor. So from the danger zone, where we have the most important danger, cybersecurity danger. So because we have a risk of hardware and the software compromising, and also the link with supply chain that needs rigorous maintenance and monitoring of this step. So the second part is the control zone, so especially for network operators and the PKI operators. This part is about having a security update verification and regular infrastructure audit. But it's not only the parts that are more impacting the ecosystem of the charging station. And the last part is the watch zone. So it's the zone that maybe it's not impacting very the ecosystem. So it's about the protocol developers that could in sometimes have the backdoor on the hardware systems and softwares and the user. So this part is mainly to have active monitoring of this actors in our EV charging ecosystem. So you can see that we have identified several cybersecurity risks facing the EV charging, and now let's go to deeper discussion and to bring other topic about securing hardware of the charging stations and sensitive data with the next section of our webinar.
Thank you very much, Yassir. As you heard, the regulation requires, of course, audits and risk analysis to identify threats and try to suggest some risk mitigation strategies. And as you know, cybersecurity doesn't end at installation, but security should be and must be ensured throughout all the life cycle of the infrastructure. That is why, and to wrap up our experts sessions, I would invite Gilles Chèné from Thales to share with us the best practices for ensuring secure and proof installations as well as sensitive data management.
Hello, everybody. I'm Gilles Chèné. I am in charge of the business development for the cybersecurity solution for the EV charging ecosystem and also connectivity solution. One point, I mean, I am seeing, yeah.
Is it a good slide?
Yeah, this is a good slide, but I wanted to have the full picture. Okay, so today I will talk about cybersecurity and mainly how to secure the charging station for hardware and data protection. So you understood from the past presentation of my colleagues that it was very important to cyber secure the charging station itself. In my presentation, I would like to answer to two additional questions. The first one is about the life cycle of the charging station from the manufacturing by the OEM of the charging station until the end of life of the charging station deployed on the field, meaning that there is a change of ownership or different interface and responsibilities along the life of the charging station from OEM to charging station operators. And maybe we may have only one charging station operator, but sometimes we may have several. So we need to have a solution to ensure the cybersecurity continuity along the lifespan of the charging station. So in terms of data protection, what kind of data must be protected? You understood that all the security of the charging ecosystem is relying on the public key infrastructure. When we are talking about PKI, we are talking about certificates. We are talking about key pairs with private keys, secret keys, I would say, public keys. So this is this asset that is delivering the trust between all the entities of the ecosystem. So vehicles, but also charging station, but also CSMS. So now going deeper on the charging station side, we have the protocols. Come back one slide back. Sorry. We need to take advantage of the protocol and mainly OCPP protocol. So OCPP is mentioning that there is different security profile for the charging station to be activated to make sure to have the best level of security between the charging station and the CSMS. Unfortunately, amongst these three levels, only the last one, that is enabling mutual authentication between the charging station and the CSMS, is completely secure. So we would like, during the manufacturing of the charging station, that this third security profile is enabled in factory, in order to, when the charging station is on the field, on the first connection to the CSMS, we will have mutual authentication between the charging station and the CSMS. In brackets, mutual authentication means that the server, the CSMS, will be able to authenticate that the charging station is a trusted charging station and not a fake one, but also for the charging station that connecting to a CSMS, she will be able to verify the authentication, the trust of this CSMS. So at Mobena, we recommend this security profile number 3. So we will see how to bootstrap the CSO connection leaf certificate in the charging station. At manufacturing would be the best, but okay, thank you, Amine. So the issue is that at manufacturing step of the charging station, we may not know who will be the CSO that will deploy and operate the charging station. It could be a bit soon. And we don't know, the manufacturer doesn't know also the root CA of the CSO that he has to inject in the charging station. This is the first point. Secondly, in the process of certificate generation and provisioning from the authority, the certificate authority, until the charging station, there is a two-way process based on the CSR, certificate signing request, that must be generated by the charging station itself, going to the certificate authority, so the one from the CSO, and then the certificate is generated and sent back to the charging station. The point is that all manufacturers of charging stations are not integrated in terms of protocols with all the CSO. So this trust between both of them cannot be ensured at this step. So here on the picture, you can see a way that using the security profile, this is a one-way TLS, so only with the server authentication by the charging station is not enough in order to ensure the end-to-end security, as Steffen said in its presentation, because a hacker could take control on the software of the charging station in order to compromise the basic authentication credential or to compromise the certificates. You see that in this configuration, keys are generated and stored on board in the charging station, I would say in the memory of the charging station. So we need to improve, to strengthen the security from this first version. So you can move forward, please, Amine. Thanks a lot. So previously we saw about the initialization process from manufacturing to field. Here we are talking about end-to-end security on different use cases mentioned by the OCPP specification. So this is a use case A02 and A03 about update of certificate in the charging station, either based on charging station initiative or based on CSMS initiative. In both cases, if we are not able to ensure I would say end-to-end cybersecurity from the CSMS until inside the trust store, we bring the possibility to the hackers to modify the software of the EV charger, the charging station, in order to compromise the leaf certificate. And compromising the leaf certificate means that you can transform your charging station in a rogue charging station. Based on that, with a rogue charging station, you can open any communication with any EVs or with any CSMS. In the M05 use case, you can install, this is a use case used to install root CA in the charging station. And even there, even if you use a mutual TLS channel between the CSMS and the charging station, because the hacker can still have an attack on the software of the charging station, it is possible to avoid the storage of the legitimate certificates and to replace this one by a fake one, bringing a big power to the attacker. Next slide, please, Amine. So still again, strengthening security is a must. So why we talk about hardware and data protection is because in order to secure with the highest level of security of key pairs of keys and root CA in the charging station, as mentioned, as recommended by the ISO 15118, it's crucial to rely on the hardware security module. It's a secure chip that will be integrated in the design of the hardware of the charging station, soldered on the PCB. We can have a hardware security module, trusted platform module, secure elements. So this is such secure chip that will be able to guarantee that your secrets, keys, root CA are securely stored within the charging station. And what we call the key store, this is a safe, the container where we will have keys. This key store will be loaded in the secure element. And even for the trust store that will receive all the root CAs coming from the different stakeholders will be also securely stored in the secure element. The advantage to have also a secure element is that you are delegating the crypto function, the hardware and software protection of this chip to ensure the protection of your sensitive data by a dedicated component. The boot of this component is very quick and independent of the other resources of your charging station. There is a crypto function. All the algorithms are inside this component, and there is possibility to update the algorithm remotely by updating this operating system in the secure element. The goal also of this secure component is that you can establish an end-to-end encrypted channel between the CSMS until the internal containers in the chip, in the secure element. And in this way, it's no more possible for hackers to try to take the control on the software of the charging station to spy data or to change the data on the fly to make their own data instead of the relevant one, the official one. And last point for this, secure element, this type of component are following standards. It's not proprietary, so you can manage this very easily in terms of integration. Merci, Amine. You can. Okay, so this one is relying to my concern about the end-to-end secure communication between the CSMS and the secure element, because when we are talking about mutual authentication, HTTPS protection, we are only talking about security between the CSMS and the TLS library inside the software of the charging station. And thanks to the secure chip with this hardware module, we are extending the security until the container inside the chip. So it's very further than what HTTPS is allowing. For sure, I was mentioning mainly the communication from CSMS to the secure chip, to the secure element and the key store and trust store. But in the process of certificate generation, we have also some messages that are leaving the charging station to go to the CSMS. Even for this kind of messages, the secure element is providing the possibility to sign the messages that are leaving the charging station, going to the CSMS, in order for the CSMS to trust the charging station that is requesting something. When we are talking about certificate generation, we are talking about certificate signing request. In order to avoid to generate certificate for fake charging station, we thanks to the secure element, we will sign the CSR with the keys that are known by the CSMS. Thank you, Amine. You can move. So this is why our global recommendation is to rely on secure element to have a better protection of the data, of the identities of the charging station. This is a cornerstone of the cybersecurity for the full ecosystem. And saying that, you may say, you may ask, but how to ensure that the one that is provisioning the sensitive data in the secure element is allowed to do that? Is it open or not? Is it controlled? Do we have an access control on the data that are securely stored in the secure element? So yes, it's fully ensured by this end-to-end solution. In order to store data in the secure element, you have to authenticate to the secure element. And in order to prevent to store authentication credential in the charging station software to authenticate to the secure element in order to write or read data, because there is a risk of attacks of this credential if they are stored in the charging station, we will rely on a dedicated server. This is a trusted party server, and only this server has a credential in order to establish this secure channel between the secure element and itself. So all the certificates, CSR, all the root CA that must be provisioned in the secure element will rely on this trusted party server for secure channel setup and encrypted data transfer. So this is done for the CSO route. It is done for the V2G route. It will be also done for the CSMS URL. Remember that at the initial provisioning, when we deploy the charging station on the field, we don't know exactly what will be the CSMS URL to put in the charging station to connect to the relevant CSMS. So this is something that we can do. We can do remotely, we can do securely. It can be less expensive for the CPO to deploy and to set up a large amount of charging station deployed on the field by sending such bootstrap information into any charging station. I think it is my last slide. Yes. This picture is a joke. I don't know if you are aware about ChatGPT capability. So it's a blister generated with AI. talk about security kit for EVSE. You have all the things in this blister to bootstrap cybersecurity for your charging station and EV charging network.
Okay. So thank you very much, Gilles, for this this presentation. So as you see, we started by presenting the big picture with Gireve, then Michael from ETAS and Steffen from Hubject presented us all the aspects concerning the protocols and the regulations first, then the protocols. Yassir presented the the cyber risk analysis that we are in Mobena. And at the end, with Gilles, we try to deep dive into where we try to make a focus, let's say, on the charging stations and all the elements and components and certificates that we should protect within this ecosystem. So let's right now open the the session for the question and answers. We've got some questions here in the chat. So maybe what I suggest is try to read the answers and let the speakers give us some answers. So first we have this first question from François Walbou. The question is, in terms of cybersecurity, will the Cyber Resilience Act force charging ecosystem to implement intrusion detection systems? So,
yep. So as mentioned in the answer, the CRA is not going so deep in the requirement or recommendation. So only to determine if you have to implement an intrusion detection system, you have to perform a risk analysis on your product, maybe on your system, and to see if you need something.
okay. Maybe you've got some kind of questions that are not really far from this, but it's also about regulations. And the question is from Emmanuel Dubois. When will be the Cyber Resilience Act applicable, and will it replace the Red Delegated Act for cybersecurity?
Yes. So the CRA has been published in December 2024. And the first reporting obligation will start on September 26, and it will be fully applicable starting December 27.
Okay.
So in 1 year, we have to be prepared. And regarding the Red dedicated Act, it's dedicated to radio equipment. And the objective of the Red is to define some essential requirements for safety, health, electromagnetic compatibility, and efficient use. So it's very for communication product. And regarding the cybersecurity, the Red Dedicated Act asks to have protection on the product that will not harm the network. Of course, the personal data and privacy of user, and protection from fraud. But it's not the CRA will replace, but will be on top, on an addition to complement the Red Directive. And just maybe you miss it, on the CRA, it's very clear. We saw during the presentation, we have fine and up to 15 million. For the Red, it's very dependent of the country. For the moment, the only impact I saw it's in Portugal, where two companies have to paid €500,000 each one because they were not complying to the Red Directive.
Okay, thank you, Michael. By the way, we are also working on this on some working groups from Mobena that try to find kind of let's say technical, regulatory, and standard standards, and trying to understand and prepare like the future with some plannings with all the involved partners in this initiative. We have also a third question from Sylvain. The question is, we have like cyber attacks could also lead to component destroyments. For example, keep charging battery even if the state of charge is 100%. So there is a need to double protection with physical criteria such as temperature, and try to define priority level to protect component from destruction. So the question is whether is there a solution that already exists that can answer to this issue. I see that there was also already an answer from Yassir about this. If you can give us more insights and details about this question.
So yes, so the risk of damage of component still exists and important. So it's why we should have several layers of security. So in the charging station, but also on the EV. So here I proposed an example of the capability of the battery management system to protect the charging process from an control, so to monitor the charging process, and if there is a cyber attack that will impact the state of charge, that could damage the battery, because it's the most important part on the electric vehicles in now, and the BMS should have a second capability to cut off the power and monitor even the temperature or the state of charge thresholds to protect any other type of incident in the battery of the electric vehicles.
Okay, thank you, Yassir. So maybe that was the last question that we have. We still have like 3 minutes. As I said, if you have any other questions or remarks, you can put them on the chat, or contact us later if you have like some questions that you want us to detail. So to this point, I just want to thank you all for your active participation to this webinar. And of course, thanks again to our speakers for their valuable contribution, and to all of you for joining us. Maybe just to go further, we also invite you to follow Mobena's activities, either on the website. You have a website from Mobena, but also a LinkedIn page that you can also follow to explore the solutions and the topics that you are working on. But there is also a potential for collaboration that we are still open, and the project goes on until 2026. So that was a call for joining us. Thank you again, and we'll send you the presentation by email to all participants.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.